So in today's premiere episode, we're going to be interviewing the founder and CEO of Lavista, Don Perry. I'm very excited to have him on. I'm a little biased because he's my dad, but he's the most knowledgeable person I know about the commercial real estate industry. So if there's a particular subject that you want us to cover, shoot us a message, drop a comment below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Tell your friends, tell your families. This is going to be a fun ride. So without further ado, let's get started.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good.
Awesome. Well, thanks for taking the time to hop on this video.
Glad to.
Figured you could maybe start with your name.
I'm Don Perry.
Don Perry, and I'm Graham Perry. So Don started Lavista in 1972 here in Atlanta, and I think that's probably a good place to start. Who'd you start it with? Why'd you start it? What led to the beginning of Lavista?
Well, I got out of business school in '71, went to work for a guy named Tom Fortner selling real estate, mostly residential development. And then we got into land speculation and syndication, and decided after the first year in the business that's what I wanted to do long term. And so Tom Fortner, Joe Rogers Sr., that both of them owned Waffle House, decided to go in business as a real estate company. We formed Lavista Corporation in '72, and I owned half of it. Didn't have anything in the company, and we started investing in brokering, and so that's how it all started.
Okay, so let's shift the dynamic a little bit. So that was 1972.
'72.
You started with the Waffle House co-founders. Fast forward to 2024. If you had to highlight a couple things that have evolved in the commercial real estate business here in Atlanta, what are some of the bigger aspects that you would highlight?
Well, it's become a national business. Our business has become national, whereas in '72 it was very local. Even within Atlanta, it was local. It's a digital world now. We would spend all our time in the courthouse, looking up plats and looking up owners and being nice to the courthouse clerk to print us out a copy that was usually about $1 a page to print it out. There was no search services, no digital services, no mapping services. At that time, the desktop computer hadn't even been invented. And then in the mid-'80s, the desktop came into play and became more digital, and then the iPhone came into play in '07. The internet started really to take hold in '96, and the digital world became the big change. So it used to be when we started, information was king. If you had information, you had everything. Now everybody has information.
So going back to the internet, purchasing a domain, how much did you pay for Lavista.com?
Very little. I mean, less than $100.
Less than $100. That's pretty good. I think I saw on Twitter some guy recently paid $400,000 for a domain name for his business.
Well, nobody really knew what the internet was going to be in '96. We just didn't know. So it changed dramatically. And it's enabled the work from home generation. The need for paper is very little now. We still do paper, but digital signatures, digital papers. It's just a sea change of what you spend your time doing. The one thing that hadn't changed is you need to get in front of the client and customers every day.
You brought up work from home. Do you like to work from home?
No, I do not. I worked from the office all my life, and creature of habit.
What do you say to young folks who are working from home?
Get in the office, be seen, become known.
Is this just commercial real estate, Or you think a Google employee, Facebook employee,
every business,
Tesla.
You need to become known. You need to socialize. You need to meet your peers, your bosses. They need to know you. You need to pick up a lot of things that you pick up in the hall. It's critical to individual success. I think if you stay at home, you're going to get lost.
I agree. A funny story I'll share with you. I'm a new father, as you know, and I have a lot of friends who send their kids to daycare. And their biggest thing is it's so important for our kid to socialize. And there's a handful of these folks who send their kids to daycare because they want their kid to socialize, yet they work from home the entire day. They work from home the entire day. I'm like, wait a second, why you're sending your kid to daycare to socialize? Yeah,
not you.
But not you. You don't want to go to the office. So I think it's a funny dynamic right now. But if you had to look into your crystal ball, let's talk about the Buckhead office market. What happens to the Buckhead office market? Do people come back surging next year? Right. I know there's been some vacancy. There's going to be some buildings that ownership changes, but do you think that people will come back to the office by the end of the year next year?
I do not. I think that train has left the station. I think we're going to see a continued work from home environment. We're going to see artificial intelligence replace a lot of workers. There's going to be less need for office space, and I think it's certainly a 10-year phenomenon, not a 1-year change. And it's going to take a long time for the office market to correct. It's so overbuilt, and we're in a very good economy right now. So I don't predict anything on a positive note happening for a long time in the office market only.
Yeah. So if you had to pick some positives, looking at commercial real estate and from a big picture perspective, where are the positives right now?
Well, the economy is booming. The retail is doing very well. The industrial is doing very well. The business parks are doing very well because they're not affected by work from home. They're not affected by the digital revolution. If anything, industrial is benefiting from the work from home with companies like Amazon. So except for office, everything's actually wonderful right now. Interest rates, people say they're high, but they're really not very high. They're relatively modest in the historical perspective.
So historical interest rates, maybe tell us about the first mortgage that you obtained and what was your interest rate?
Well, I was at 15% in the early 80s. And last one I did was 2.5%. So it changed a lot.
It's a big cost saving.
Correct.
So for the young folks getting into commercial real estate, what would be your messaging today?
My comment would be to do it. And if you love it, stay with it.
How can you love something if you're not making any money?
That's a hard thing. It's like boot camp. It takes a couple of years to, even with all the technology and all the information that's at hand, it's still, you have to get in the field, you have to get around people, you have to gain their trust, you have to have your knowledge. And it just takes a lot of time. And I haven't found any way to replace that. And so you just go in and you fight every day, and at the end of 2 years, you're probably, if you're still in the business, you're probably going to start doing very well with it, regardless of the economy.
Awesome. Well, appreciate you taking the time to visit this morning. Nice little insight. Just good old conversation.
Good.
Awesome. Any last words?
No. Go to work.
Go to work.